Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting Dark Souls run. We are going to do a full run from New Game 1 to New Game 7. This time we're going to play as the various mobs around Dark Souls. To specify, this means I'm going to be using the gear of the various mobs around the map. I am not going to be using what they drop, as some drop gear that they do not use. However, if they hold it, if they wear it, I can use it. I am not limited in terms of rings or other usable items either, though I do try to keep the usable items within character of the mob. I also want it to be in cosplay as much as possible, so the various mobs that I've chosen are going to be humanoid mobs that, although I'm much different in size from some of them, I can fully dress up as. That being said, let's head on into the run. So on this run, we're going to be playing as a Stone Knight from Darkroot Garden. So the rules of this run is we're going to be using the Stone Knight set, the Stone Knight Great Shield, and their sword, which has a really cool ability to basically cast the spell Tranquil Walk of Peace on any nearby enemies. While doing that, it dawned on me that it would be really fun to do this as a max equipment load challenge where I cannot run, I cannot dodge, and therefore I would be essentially under the effects of Tranquil Walk of Peace for the entire game. Heading into this run, I found that walking was blissfully serene. It didn't take long for me to come up with the idea of my Tranquil Walk of Peace video, which is a 6.5 hour long video I released of just gameplay, no talking, just kind of a fun little ASMR run. It's a fun watch. I've really enjoyed it. So if you want to check that out and just kind of vibe out to it while you're drinking some coffee, checking emails, working on homework, that's what I've been using it for. Fighting bosses was largely not the point of this run. In fact, all of them, while a little hairy, were mostly just me slowly walking towards them, tanking their hits, and beating them down. The real challenge and joy was plotting the route to the most efficient way to beat the game with the least steps possible, and I made a few costly mistakes, and I'll tell you what those were as we come across them. After defeating the Asylum, I headed into Firelink Shrine. From there, I first headed down to Blighttown. I killed Maneater Mildred, and then I walked over to Quelaag. Quelaag was difficult, and Maneater was absolutely useless, and I got stuck in lava, but I was impressed with my ability to survive, and I was able to basically track Charlotte's Web down on the second try, and we put Quelaag to bed. The first mistake of the run was right here. I should have grabbed the Chaos Covenant bonfire, but sadly I didn't think about it, and that would cost me another long walk back later on when I unlocked teleporting. I made my way up, finding out that I couldn't get up the ramp, so I cheated. I'm so sorry, but later I would discover that a quick shield bash would have solved this problem, so oops, sorry. Up top, I touched Firelink Shrine, and just in case, because I was going to head through the Valley of Drakes, and I took the back way to Andre. I snagged the Crest of Vitorius and made my way into the chapel. I cleared out the Baronike Knight, the Channeler, I killed Lautrec, then I summoned Solaire and peacefully ended the gargoyles like putting a child blissfully to sleep. Now, the real first boss of the game began. The first skill check was trying to make my way through Sen's Fortress. In the very beginning, it has what seems to be a very tight swinging blade trap, but after a few frustrating hours and deaths and max humanity being lost, I figured out that if I positioned the camera just a little higher, I actually had plenty of space and timing. This same trick got me through the double blades up top by the lightning slinging jerk. The next small test was the rolling boulder. This was actually easy to tank my way through and let it basically send me flying up the ramp and kill all the snakes for me. The same trick worked for the boulder area up ahead. No, the real trick was the swinging blades up top. It was too tight to fit through. I died so many times and for so many hours that I took a break and looked online to see if anyone was stupid enough to try this challenge. I found a video by a YouTuber called but he had access to any gear necessary, and I was locked to the Stone Knight set, so already there was a big difference between what he was doing and what I was doing. It was at this moment I realized how insane I was for trying what had essentially never been done on the internet before. But I did learn a trick about using sword swings to cover a farther distance. About 2 sword swings, and when necessary, a quick log off got me through that troublesome section. Honestly, the last section of Sens was much easier. Even when the snake was shooting me in the back, it wasn't that bad. I was able to make it to the bonfire first time, no problem. But it was difficult to make it back up to the bonfire, or back past the bonfire, and B-And came in handy here again. He gave me the idea of doing a log off in between the rocks falling down on me, and that would reset them each time before they hit me. After this, we made our way up, we killed the giant, we summoned Black Iron Tarkus, and we killed the golem. As I said, the bosses will be the least of our worries, except for one. We'll get to her in due time. That was the fight I dreaded the most. Next, we made our way through the rafters. This was super easy, barely an inconvenience, but the biggest challenge was the archers. And here, B-And was no help. He used range tactics to kill the archers from a distance, along with the invisibility ring, which I don't possess, so I had to do this the hard way. I died and died and died. Finally, I found out that going right instead of left was a game changer. Then I found out that I could dodge the arrows slowly, yet effectively. After this, I found out that logging off in between arrow hits could cheat me a little closer to the archer, and once I got close enough, he pulled out his sword and shield, and the one shooting from behind didn't see me after the log off, and I was able to make my way through. Now, we just strolled through Anor Londo. We summoned Solaire to kill the giant guards, we used a force quit to get Solaire back with full health, and on New Game 5, with only 2 tries, we killed Ornstein and Smo. Solaire can easily solo Ornstein, and I can easily solo Smo, so this was no problem. Now, with warping, the end of the game was in sight. Even though I could warp, I decided to do the bosses in order from my closest position down to the end, and this put the Bed of Chaos squarely at the end, which was absolutely on purpose. We walk through Duke's archives, we die to Seath, and make our way through the Crystal Caves. Trying to kill the Golden Golem was frustrating, but eventually we find out that logging off while we're behind him allowed us to just walk past him as he didn't see us after a certain try. We made our way slowly past the clams, and here I made another mistake, though it was pretty small. I should have destroyed Seath's crystal first, and then logged off to kick any clams out of the boss arena. Instead, I immediately log off, which was kicking all the clams out of the boss arena, putting up a boss fog so then I can walk through without them getting in. But now I had to slowly make my way past Seath to the crystal to destroy it. Rookie mistake, but luckily, even with only walking on max equipment load, Seath still seems slower than me, so this fight was a breeze. Next came the 4 kings. We made our way slowly through the ghosts. In the room I thought would be the worst, actually, I wiped out all the ghosts before I even knew it. I was like, oh, is that it? Okay. However, after getting the key, I forgot to put on the transient curse because it wore off while I was talking to the man up above, and we had a pretty silly death. I had an easy but long walk back, which allowed me to drain the lake, but it also gave me plenty of time to think I forgot the crest of Atorius. So we teleported back to Firelink Shrine, and we walked our way through Dark Root Garden. And walking through here, this moment, it just felt right. I knew that I would enjoy putting on this run for my own enjoyment in the future. Next, we joined the Forest Hunters to avoid any annoying combat on runbacks, and I killed Sif without any issues. Heading back to the 4 kings, we killed them on our first try. I don't know if it was RNG luck, but this was the easiest time I've had with all the bosses. Now it was time for the Tomb of Giants. I had an issue in the least expected place. I tried many times to skip the catacombs, but I couldn't land the fall correctly. After literally a few hours, I realized that I could just walk off the bridge. Why isn't this the normal way to do this? I wish I summoned Paladin Leroy for the pinwheel fight, but between all the dying, I forgot to unhollow myself. I told myself that after the first death to Pinwheel, we would human up now that we knew how to get down there, and we would summon Leroy for the next try. However, we ended up killing Pinwheel, on our first try, I really thought that I would die a fiery death surrounded by a million clones, but one of Pinwheel's moves is to unsummon all of his clones, and then he teleported right next to me. The fool. Now, it was just a slow walk into the tomb. I tried to go in without a skull lantern on a previous run, and I don't want to talk about it. So I didn't even attempt a fully blacked out run here, sorry. So if you really wanted to see that, I'm sorry, I'm just not good enough in the dark to do that. So good luck if you want to do it yourself. The final run to Nito was also not a problem. I expected it to be with all the pinwheels, but nope, we just made our way through there easy enough. And Nito was also easy enough. On the last run, I discovered a fun little nook to hide in that protects me from most of the skeletons, and Nito went down. After Nito, we headed down to Ceaseless Discharge. Oh boy. Let me tell you guys, this boss was slow, painful, and tedious. But eventually we made our way from the beginning to the end, and we took Ceaseless down. One last boss. There are two different ways I could have chosen to get to the Bed of Chaos. I chose the Chaos Servant shortcut route because even with the lava ring on, you still take a little bit of damage, and with me being so slow, I was worried about losing a lot of health on the way to the Bed of Chaos. This was pretty silly because health potions aren't really needed against the Bed of Chaos. Anyways, we decided to fight the Tauros Demon and the Titanite Demon on all of our run backs. However, they weren't that bad. You can just shield up and work your way slowly past them. Once I was in the Bed of Chaos fight, I actually had hope that I was going to beat it on my first try with no deaths. We walked over and killed the first side, and then I walked from the right all the way over to the left without dying and broke that side, and I thought, are we going to do it? Am I going to be a legend? Am I going to walk to the middle with no problem? I was wrong. I died, and I died a lot. I continued to die a lot. This was very frustrating and took me 2 days to film this. But eventually I found where certain attacks hit, how to trigger the boss, how to shield up and not take damage. It took a while. It took a lot of finagling, but eventually we fell off the middle just right. We dodged a lava blast, and we put down the Bed of Chaos. The end of the game was finally here. We walked down to Gwyn. We killed some Black Knights, and then figuring out Gwyn was a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. There's not a lot of moves you can punish, but we learned how to dance around him. We punished the right moves, and Gwyn goes down. If you guys want to watch 6.5 hours of footage, I uploaded a no commentary, just gameplay ASMR chill session. The real footage is about 18 hours long, but I started cutting out the walkbacks once I reached Sen's Fortress. I realized, in fact, some of them I didn't even record because I realized it was going to be way too much footage on my computer. It's a fun thing to put on while checking my morning email, doing homework, or just vibing and chilling. I'll be honest, a few times I needed a little break from the stresses and pressures of the day, and I just kind of put this on and I just hit my Zen mode. I am embarrassed to admit I've already let it play through twice while just enjoying my day and enjoying a tranquil walk of peace. I'll see you guys in the next one as I play the game as a giant of Anor Londo. Bye.